This week, Mel gets a bit spooked by survival horror experience Until Dawn. Continuing a theme, we find out more about Horizon Zero Dawn from Guerrilla Games, and Jonny Robot catches up with Crystal Dynamics to talk Rise of the Tomb Raider. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week Nintendo has broken our collective hearts once again with the news that Star Fox Zero has been delayed and will definitely not be out for Christmas this year. The news came directly from Shigeru Miyamoto, so we can't even hope that it was somehow lost in translation. Instead, the series creator has said that while technically the game could be finished in time for the holidays, it would be unpolished and not up to the standards the development team had set for themselves. So instead, we have to wait until Q1 2016, and fingers crossed that means more January than March. There's more bad news on the way from Konami, who seems to have dropped all AAA development except for the Pro Evolution Soccer series. This is despite the runaway success of Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, something the studio should really have seen coming. However, word on the street is that there will be no more Metal Gear games and no more Silent Hill either. The studio is completing work on Metal Gear Online and then looks set to shift focus almost completely to mobile games. There is, however, some good news. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 has snagged the series its very first Australian R18 classification. Activision has been concerned about ratings before, submitting Modern Warfare 2 under a code name to hopefully avoid any negative press from a refused classification decision, but this is the first time the series has earned the adults-only rating. Unsurprisingly, it's due to high-impact violence and strong-impact themes, so you will need to be a grown-up if you want to play Black Ops 3 when it launches on November 6. And also this week, Sony officially removed the codename from Project Morpheus, announcing the surprisingly uninspired new name for its virtual reality headset. You should now put PlayStation VR on your wishlist, and you might need to wish pretty hard for it. Sony CEO Andrew House has come out and said that the new technology will cost something similar to an entire new console, with prices expected to be around the $400 mark in the US. In Australia, of course, who knows what that could be, but it's not looking cheap. Still with PlayStation news, and the powers that be are asking for more money to make Shenmue 3. Of course, the developer isn't phrasing it quite like that because that sounds greedy. Instead, fans are being offered a second chance to throw cash at the game through a brand new Slacker Backer program. Nearly 70,000 people have already pledged via Kickstarter, making the game the most funded Kickstarter game ever, but it seems some people weren't able to get their money in by the deadline. Now they're getting another chance, or if you have already given the studio money, you can do it all over again. Shenmue 3 is due out in 2017 for PS4 and PC, and will be released then whether or not you have backed the game yourself. Coming out much sooner than that is Minecraft Story Mode, which is landing on PC, Mac, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360 and Xbox One on October 13, with iOS and Android releases just a few days later. The game puts an all-new spin on the popular Minecraft world, with a star-studded lineup telling a tale of 4 avatars on a quest to find the Order of the Stone. For the first time in a Telltale series, you can customise your main character. Jessie can be male or female, voiced by either Patton Oswalt or Catherine Tabor, respectively. Other voice actors on the project include Brian Posen, Ashley Johnson, Scott Porter, Martha Plimpton, Dave Fennoy, Corey Feldman, Billy West, and Paul Rubens, that is, Pee Wee Herman. There are some more dates that we can tell you. The PC version of Need for Speed has been delayed into 2016, as Ghost Games announces they need more time to put the proper polish on the racer. Part of the delay is so the studio can implement an unlocked frame rate and a few visual tweaks, something fans have been politely asking for. The Uncharted 4 multiplayer demo has not been delayed and will be held from December 4 to 13 for anyone who has a copy of the Nathan Drake Collection and a PlayStation Plus membership. The Nathan Drake Collection, on the other hand, launches from October 7, exclusively for PS4. Dark Souls 3 is also getting a limited beta test, sort of, as Bandai Namco announces a PS4 network test for the upcoming game to run in mid-October. Places are extremely limited and will be chosen at random from a list of gamers who have signed up at cbt.darksouls3.com, so if you're into that sort of thing, we wish you the very best of luck. In more PlayStation-y news, we can confirm that World of Tanks is also headed to PlayStation 4, as revealed at Tokyo Game Show this past week. The new version of the game has been given a super shiny graphical overhaul and will be completely free for all console owners, and you won't need PS Plus to play. That said, if you are a subscriber, you will get some extra goodies, like a whole extra tank, so there are obviously some benefits. There's no date for that one just yet, beyond the traditional, coming soon. There will not be a Five Nights at Freddy's 5, says series creator Scott Cawthon, but we haven't seen the last of the horror franchise. In addition to the movie that's in development, Cawthon has also announced a new spin-off project, Five Nights at Freddy's World, which is an RPG. This one is headed to Android, iOS and PC, and while we were hoping for a demo by Halloween, it looks like that's not going to happen. Movie news this week, we've got nothing new, but we do have something quite old. Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, is 15 years old and it is returning to cinemas in Australia and New Zealand. If you missed this one the first time around, or if you just like to revisit the peak of Pokemania, keep an eye out for session times. For more information on any of these stories, or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.
Imagine a night
This was the right thing to do.
where every decision
What the hell was that?
and every single action
I just saw someone at the cabin.
affects your fate
Very funny. Guys, come
and the
on.
fate of those around you.
My friends and I have these scary movie nights that have become a bit of a tradition. We binge on the best horror movies we can find until we cannot handle any more. And then we binge on Disney films until we feel better. We've become legendary at the local pizza shop, but that's a story for another time. It's a weird sadistic pleasure we all enjoy, which explains why I enjoyed every scream-inducing jump scare that Until Dawn has to offer. Until Dawn is the story of a group of high school friends. After a prank goes wrong, two of them mysteriously go missing, and that's where the scares begin. Visually, the game looks amazing. It uses the same motion capture technology as LA Noire did, but with some well-known actors leading the roles, such as Hayden Panettiere and Peter Storm, it's not nearly as off-putting. Not only do the characters look realistic, the environments you explore look great too. All of the eerie and unsettling areas in the game only add to the suspense and anxiety. Unfortunately, these amazing environments are let down by some pretty frustrating camera work. In Until Dawn, the camera will jump around to give you the best vantage point for a classic horror movie style. But when you're trying to navigate through 3D environments, this type of camera movement can break the immersion and really detract from the scene's intensity. The biggest mechanic Until Dawn uses to push you through the story is called the butterfly effect. This mechanic relies on the player making split-second decisions in situations which decide the fates of your fellow co-eds. It makes you think, what if I didn't check his phone, or what if I didn't try and wake up my brother? Some of these decisions won't affect your outcome, whereas others will change it dramatically. This works really well with the QuickTime events, where your mistakes could seal the fate of someone else. Until Dawn combines the use of these QuickTime events and a brilliant inclusion of PlayStation's 6-axis motion control, with a brilliant score and sound effects. Making a QuickTime decision is hard enough when you're trying to escape a tense situation, but when the controller is ticking loudly and violins are screeching, everything comes together in one anxiety-inducing moment. In the midst of this panic, every action feels like it's life or death, and that's the point. When you trigger a butterfly effect action, white butterflies will appear in the corner of the screen to signal that this moment is important to the story. These decisions also affect your relationship and personality stats. You can go back and review your decisions, along with clues or totems you gather along the way so you can modify your behaviour. This comes in handy when you inevitably replay Until Dawn. I should mention that Until Dawn is also a massive, dirty cheater. During the game, you'll be interviewed by Dr. Hill, who becomes increasingly more disturbing as you go through the story. He asks you what you're more afraid of, which of course the game then uses against you. Essentially, you hand yourself to the game on a silver platter. During my interview, I said that I was scared of clowns, more scared of dogs than rats, Big Bitey versus Lil Jumpy, and needles. The major scare it used was clowns, which made me scream. Actual blood-curdling screams, on more than one occasion, much to the amusement of my jerk-ass boyfriend. Doctor Who reminds me a lot of the Games Master from the 90s horror game Nightmare, with most of his NPC interaction happening through changing environments and getting right up in your face. It feels like he's actually going to crawl out of the TV and berate you in person. He's a great way to break up the gameplay, but still keep you terrified. This game isn't without its flaws. Until Dawn started to lose me halfway through the game when things took a weird turn after the plot twist. The pacing changed and one of the plot devices was used a little too much for my liking. This device makes sense in the greater scheme of the story, but everything jumped from one bad guy to another without much explanation as to why. It also seems to focus on certain characters more than others. I felt myself wondering where character was after huge repeating scenes with other characters. The story also lacks in any kind of originality. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but Until Dawn relies on several horror movie stereotypes like the jock, the bitchy girl, and the quiet nerdy guy. All of these characters could be easily found in a remake of The Breakfast Club, if it happened to be set in a Canadian cabin during a blizzard. I think I found myself rooting for one particular character, but then I accidentally killed her because I was playing to her personality. My bad. Until Dawn managed to both scare the pants off me and make me want more. Despite some poor camera movements and a slightly disappointing story, if this game was a movie, I'd pay to see it in the cinemas and spill popcorn all over myself. It's definitely something I'll be replaying over again and still screaming like a terrified little child.
Until Dawn, only your choices determine who will survive. Exclusively on PS4.
I'm Jonny Robot here at E3 and we are hanging out in the Sony area and we are looking at Horizon Zero Dawn.
We know we weren't the first ones here. Our stories speak of the ones that came before. The old ones.
This thing is insane. Most importantly, robots.
Robot. Well, you're Jonny Robot. We got robots in Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, Horizon Zero Dawn is from Guerrilla Games in Amsterdam. These are the guys who made Killzone game after Killzone game. After years of doing it, they're finally doing something new. Horizon Zero Dawn is an open-world, seamless action RPG. It takes place not in a post-apocalyptic world, in a post-apocalyptic world. It's lush. Vegetation and nature and life has come back. And it's a story of primitive man against these large, giant machines. But the machines are like the animals of the world in some ways. There's grazers, there's watchers, there's long necks. Why are they here? Why do they look the way they do? These are really kind of the questions that you have to answer over the course of your journey through Horizon Zero Dawn. And Guerrilla is known for their technical proficiency. This game is no exception. People are going to see beautiful, stunning vistas. These giant machines, one of the large ones you'll see, Thunderjaw, is comprised of over 500,000 polys. It's a beautiful game, but more than anything else, it's fast-paced, it's fresh, it's new, and the reaction has kind of spoken to just how excited people are for something brand new.
Like you said, the robots are the animals of the world. When in the trailer, there seemed like a lot of hunting and a lot of gathering and crafting. Is that going to be one of the heavy elements of the game?
Well, yeah, so crafting is huge. And, you know, you kind of play, again, that role of primitive humans. One of the things that you'll learn very quickly in Horizon Zero Dawn is that the machines are your #1 resource. That's like the currency of the world. And so you're able to create traps and set things up to essentially harvest these materials so that you can create new weapons, new arrows for your bow and arrow, and ultimately survive.
Now, we've been calling them animals, but let's address the giant thing in the room here. They're dinosaurs, right?
I've seen a lot of headlines say robot dinosaurs. Again, why they look the way they do is one of the mysteries of the game, but if people get more excited when someone says robot dinosaurs, I've talked to some of the guys at Guerrilla, they're pretty excited at how giddy people get when they say that. So, I don't know, that's really kind of the canon of the game, but it seems to get people up, so we're excited.
This may be a little bit of a sidebar, but one of the things that really stood out to me was it's a female protagonist. Was that a direct choice by Guerrilla?
Guerrilla has said that it was always, Aloy was always who she was from the start. It's really inspiring, I think, to see a protagonist that's so powerful and so gritty. And I'm excited. One of the questions that was asked was, can you change your? You play as Aloy, and I think once people get into the world and they get to know her and they get to know her story, they'll really connect with her, and it's really part of the experience, and it's part of the story that Guerrilla is telling. So, yeah, that's a decision they made from the beginning.
So when we're not hunting down robot dinosaurs to steal their wonderful servos, it's a pretty heavy narrative as well.
It's a single-player game, and we're not talking about quests. We're not talking about a lot of the RPG elements yet, but you can look forward to a lot of the stuff that people expect in an RPG. And again, the crafting plays a huge part of it. So, yeah, we're going to talk a lot more about that stuff as the road through the campaign continues. For now, we're just excited to get it out there.
Now, one of the things you pointed out as well, it is lush and gorgeous. The vistas is what we've seen. Can we expect any more very kind of environments, or are you just keeping it under wraps at the moment?
We're not talking about a ton of the different environments yet. We do want people to take away the scope of the environments. And one of the things you'll see, some people are kind of seeing some extended footage of clouds, volumetric clouds coming over the mountains, casting shadows on there's deep, thick vegetation that you can use for cover. There's a lot of destructibility. There's rock formations that can be plowed through by the machines that you can tether explosives to kind of create traps. A lot of the machines will react. You can blow something up behind them and bring the herd over. There's a lot of different possibilities. It's a kind of a sandbox action RPG experience. So, and the environments play a huge part of that.
And as well, looking at it, it's very dynamic, like you said, in the way it plays. Is it also an area of strategy to taking down the giant beasts and just surviving the world?
There is absolutely an element of strategy. The Thunderjaw that people saw in the press conference demo comprised of dozens and dozens of components and outer armor, and you need to strategically undo that armor and expose think about it. Aloy is a small human, and these huge machines, some of the predatory ones, are enormous, an order of magnitude larger than the humans. How do you best a foe like that? It has to be about agility, and it has to be about wits. So she needs to use the environment around her to create traps, to harvest resources from the other machines, and if she's strategic about how she takes out the various defenses that the machine has, she has a shot.
I was just going to cry and hope that would corrode them, but that's not really going to work. Thanks for your time, man.
Absolutely.
Time to shut you down!
The stories don't tell where the old ones went. They don't tell us why the machines rule these lands. But they warn us that this balance cannot last.
Tomb Raider. She loves falling down, she loves getting cold, she loves killing deers. What is new?
You're right that Lara does like, or seems to like, falling down quite a bit, but it's because she goes through a lot. She's willing to really push through for what she believes in. But what we love is that in Rise of the Tomb Raider, Lara is becoming more than just a survivor. She is going off on her first great tomb raiding expedition. So she's making that choice to go off on this expedition and put herself in danger for what she thinks is right.
If the artifact is here, we'll find it. And what of the remnant? They continue to resist us, but we'll have the situation in hand soon enough. Good. Trinity has faith in you.
Trinity.
So we're back to raiding real tombs again.
we are absolutely putting the tombs back in Tomb Raider. That was very important to us. We know it's important to the fans. We had challenge tombs in the first game, and we're absolutely going to bring those back, even bigger and better, more of them. But we really wanted to deliver on those huge tombs where you walk in and you feel like this is an awe-inspiring space. It's deadly, it's filled with traps, it's got nooks and crannies for me to explore, and we have things called nested puzzles, which means you walk into a huge space and you can see where you have to go, but you know you've got to solve a bunch of little puzzles, do some traversal, maybe even a little combat along the way.
That is some cruel stuff there.
Thank you, thank you.
Spread the word. The natives set snares in the clearing. They must have planned for us to pursue. God damn it. They weren't retreating. This was a feint. They're still out there.
What we like to do is make sure that each location has several different environments. So even though the majority of the adventure is going to take place in Siberia, it's not all in the snow. Lara will find forests, she will have cave areas, she'll have the tombs, which have a wide variety of environments. So you'll see a lot of different outfits, a lot of different locales within those environments for Lara to explore.
It's amazing. If only Dad could have seen this.
We are absolutely trying to build one of the best looking games on Xbox One. And I think we got a really talented team back at Crystal Dynamics who's doing that. And so when you look at, we have snow tech, we have, you know, a whole new performance capture system, we have a whole new lighting engine. So we really want the environment and Lara within that environment to come alive. And then I think the next thing that really sells that immersive cinematic experience is the performance capture. You know, we have Camilla Luddington. She's returning as Lara Croft. She does all the performance capture, does the VO, and she makes you believe that she is cold. You know, you feel cold with Lara when you see her on screen.
Also, don't forget that hair.
The hair, it's signature. It's Lara. You know, what we wanted to do is make sure that we still remain true to that survival combat flair, right? Lara's not an assassin. She's not someone going in with, you know, huge amounts of an arsenal. She's got to make do with what she finds in the environment, and we'll always find ways for her to have some things taken away, for her to lose equipment, so she has to really rely on her survival skills and her wits. And what we wanted to do is give her more guerrilla combat tactics. So as you can see from the demo that we've been showing, she can now craft explosives, she can craft new ammo types like poison arrow, she can go up in trees or swim underwater to take down enemies, she can use the environment against them to really start to become sort of that master of the environment and turn it against Trinity.
And one last thing. Can we expect corkscrew backflips?
Corkscrew backflips, you know?
You're going OG, you got to have the corkscrew backflip going on.
You know, we will not have a corkscrew I can't even say it, a corkscrew backflip, but we do have dives and swimming underwater. So that was a fan requested thing. We brought back swimming underwater with the dive. So I think that'll make the fans happy.
Incredible. This is it.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, we chat to Harmonix about the upcoming release of Rock Band 4 and go hands-on with 2 new products from Sphero, the devious, defiant Darkside Ollie, and everybody's favourite little droid, BB-8. In the meantime, you can catch us on playerattack.com. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you've got something you want to say, send us an email, mailbox@playerattack.com, or just hop on our forums. Till next week, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.